When I told people that I'm going to go to LSE, people were like, they reacted as if I'm going to a circus. The tuition fees was around £24,000 back then, plus living expenses. There's something called a super calculus. We used to have crazy conversations at 2 in the morning over a bowl of ramen or maybe a bowl of, stew because I come from Kerala. I don't even closely think we are at a risk of being replaced, especially humanities students.
So, what's the backup plan? If you're a humanities student, then you would have definitely heard this question. While we exactly don't know the source of the stereotype, we know that things are changing for the better. But are they?
I love data. It resolves misinformation. Let's talk to experts, analyze news, and smartly plan your study abroad journey. Hello aspirants, welcome to Videshi Chai.
Cultivation of the mind should be the ultimate aim of human existence, said Ambedkar. But is education becoming more about the materialistic returns than about the cultivation of the mind? Maybe that is where the stereotype about humanities comes from. Well, to answer all our theories and questions, today we have Ananya Vinod, an MSc Global Politics graduate from the prestigious London School of Economics, recipient of the Don Lavoie Fellowship, and an ardent Ambedkarite who is currently working as a consultant at EY.
So, Ananya, thank you for doing this.
Of course, anytime.
Right. So, when you told everyone that I'm going abroad to pursue a master's degree in the humanities field, were the reactions more like, "Wow, that's amazing," or was it more like, what's the backup plan?
So humanities has always been a backup plan. That's how it's always perceived, right? And when I told people that I'm going to go to LSE, people were like, they reacted as if I'm going to a circus, or I'm joining a circus, or that I'm going to open a vegan steakhouse or something of that sort, something absurd, right? But then for me, it was never a backup plan. It was not a B or a C plan. It was always an A. So I was really excited because for me, LSE was the goal when I wanted to go and study abroad, especially pursue a master's in this field. And I think, I put a lot of effort into it and I finally got it. So receiving that letter and, the acceptance letter, and then seeing my parents react to it, of course, they've been absolutely supportive. I think it's a memory I'll always cherish in a way. So,
Yeah, very cool. And of course, LSE is one of the top schools in the world. So I'm sure they were overjoyed and you were overjoyed.
Absolutely. I was actually quite excited because it's something I've worked throughout during my university, and it's a dream I had ever since I think I understood what social science is about and how impactful it would be to make a change. And I think it's reading B.R. Ambedkar's Waiting for a Visa. It's an autobiography, and he talks about LSE quite vividly there, about London and the streets. And I was like, if he pursued education, not for getting a degree, but to really make an impact, then why shouldn't I also do something like that? So LSE was like the it for me there, going there and being around such curious intellectual minds. And I think it's been absolutely worth it too.
And especially even in the header of under the header of humanity, your particular course, right, MSc in Global Politics, and the work that you're doing, policy.
Yes.
That's very interesting. And could you talk a little bit about what does policy work mean for our viewers who may be more familiar with STEM and MBA, more of the mainstream subjects? Would love to get your take on it.
Yeah, so policy is more about finding, let's say, connecting a purpose with rules. So it's about an idea that you have. Let's say it's human rights or digital policy, which has been talked about a lot nowadays, and then making it into the fabric of how we live. So that's as simple as what policy is about. It's not about writing reports. I think that's the misconception a lot of people have, right? It's just going out there and writing like a huge 10-page document, but that's not the case. It's about understanding where we have gaps in society and then filling it up with what our best aspirations are. So that's, in a gist, that's policy work.
Yeah, and when we were chatting before the conversation, you mentioned that you're working with various clients, some government, some not. So without revealing the exact nature, could you give us an example to give us a bit more flavor of what the work is like?
Yeah, so you work a lot with people who have the decisions, who have the power to make decisions, right? And then you have a lot of work around people who will be impacted by those decisions. So you are like an interface between both of that. It's about a lot of convincing as well. You have to convince why that idea would work. It's about telling stories, because when you're talking back to the people on ground, you're telling them, hey, this will work because it's going to benefit you in this way, right? Let's say something like Swachh Bharat, for the matter of fact. Swachh Bharat would benefit you because children will get to go to school, get to eat clean food, right? You're going to work in a very good environment. Things like that. You are, your husband or you yourself will have better employment opportunities. So these are the things that you convince people about. And I think in that way, the work that I do is very interesting. And when I went and pursued it in LSE, for me, it was about getting the best practices from there and then bringing it back home to my country. So in that way, going over there and understanding how things work out was very beneficial for me. Yeah.
Given the push on and the easy availability of data, machine learning, does that play a role in policy making? Does data inform or influence policy making, or is it more white space, I should say, more of a white space decision making that you look at?
So AI is more used as an enabler, right? It's not really the ones that are making the decisions or convincing us at the end of the day. So yeah, in a way it does help us, but I don't think it's something that we use. It's not an all-encompassing tool, if I have to put it in that way.
Yeah, I didn't mean AI as in LLMs, which are more text generating models. My question was more about for instance, if we took the example of Swachh Bharat, right? So the sizing of them, the government has to spend some money, so that's the budget part of it, and then they expect something in return, which is maybe more education, more cleanliness, lower deaths, lower medical costs, etc., more tourism. So that's the benefit side of it. So does your work also include doing actual analysis and sizing of what the cost and benefit would be?
Yes, absolutely. Cost benefit analysis comes a lot into it, because ultimately we do need money, right? It's yeah, to make anything possible as well. So we do a lot of cost benefit analysis. We do a lot of analysis in the implementation stage of things as well, how things go out, and in the end, in the monitoring side of things, right? How has things panned out in the end? Has it worked? So these, I think, are the three broad areas where policy work comes in, and AI does help in that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of overlap with the core elements like economics, mathematics, business.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's something I learned when I went to LSE, that everything is interdisciplinary, right? So one overlaps the other. You cannot work in silos. So even in our team as consultants, we have economists, we have geostrategists as well, right, who can talk a lot about the location. So there are a lot of these variables that you work around with. And I think that's very helpful, because you're getting a 360-degree picture of things, right? It's not like just focusing on one thing. And I think that helps. You're not missing out on things in the end.
Right. So for rupee, or we should say pound for pound, how much did it cost you to pursue your MSc in Global Politics?
Yeah, you talked about pound to pound, so I'll say that it's worth every penny or paisa, right? So I think for me, LSE has been more, the cost is nothing. It's been a very priceless experience, right? But if I have to give the numbers, right now, of course, the tuition fees and everything would have hiked up, because it's been 2-3 years since I last, I graduated. So the tuition fees was around £24,000 back then, plus living expenses. So if you're living in the accommodation that they provide, it'll be sort of on the higher end, which I did because of safety reasons. And I think I'm the first person in my family to go abroad and pursue education. So for me, it was a very unfamiliar space. So I opted for the LSE accommodation. That would be around 10 lakhs plus all the other miscellaneous expenses, which includes flights and everything. So I think around 40 lakhs would have been the cost of it.
And LSE, were you able to land these scholarships as well? I know it's super competitive school, but
no, not in the direct way, but I did. I was a Beacon Faith and Leadership Scholar in LSE. It was an honor that was given to me. Financial wise, no. I had actually taken a loan as well.
Yeah.
So it's been quite, what do you say? It was not heavy on my pockets as such, because when you take something like a student loan or something of that sort, you have to really understand how it can pan out after you graduate. So what are your job prospects, right? Whether it's worth it, can you repay it? That's after you graduate.
Yeah.
Now, before you decide itself, you have to understand, can I take a gap year maybe to save up some money, right? It's not just about money, it's also about the experience, which top colleges sort of look for. You could probably work and really understand what you want to do, right? And even through the program, it's about, can I get part-time jobs? Are there other opportunities where I could pursue my financial goals that way? So yeah, you have to look at all these factors before diving in.
You talked about how great your experience was. And of course, when you were in India, you studied at a great university at St. Joseph's as well. So compare your experience here to your experience at LSE. What was better? What was maybe worse? And then also I wanted to touch upon the perception of humanities, as we spoke about it earlier, as a backup. How does that perception change when you move from India to the UK?
Right, it's a very interesting question. So in Joseph's, I've been blessed enough to have really great professors. They were my contact points. I could just go to them whenever, wherever, but it's not the case in a lot of universities in India, right? Humanities is treated as something that you either pursue as a passion project because you're really passionate about it, or ultimately your goal is to pursue the civil services in India or teach. Those are the two goals, right? So for me, when I saw humanities growing up in India, like you said in the beginning, it was always a backup plan. Not for me, but for others, right? So it was kind of tough to navigate those spaces and understand why I am passionate about this subject. But when I went abroad, as compared to India, where everything was about, let's complete the syllabus, this is the exam timetable, you just have to memorize things, right? Abroad, it was about critical thinking. And it's not just about the academic subjects that you're engaging with. You are taught to challenge things, right? You're taught to understand why you are thinking this way and then back it up with evidence. And it has really helped me, I feel, not just in my subject area, but in life as well, about, experiences. When I think about financial decision I take, right? And I'm quite young, so when going abroad and, getting that sort of skill sets in you, ingrained when you think about something, your thought process, that really helps. It gives you an insight, I feel, into a lot of things. So these are the two major things when it comes to the process of how people think about humanities, but perception-wise as well. Over there, humanities or social sciences, it's considered a science, right? It's not really an artsy subject. Like, you're taking arts, this is how it is. No, that's not how it is. It's a science, it's respected. It is used in things like governance, in digital tech, whatever field there is. There's always a policy scientist or social scientist, for the matter of fact, in any organization, because they're very much valued for lobbying, for understanding the repercussions of the things they do in the company, right? Whether it's corporate space, as in the corporate social responsibility side of things, whether it is in simple things like ESG, right? Corporates are very big about it. In India also right now they are. So over there, all of this is very much valued. And of course, government, I don't have to think about it because social science is like the crux of it. So yeah.
Very, very cool. Taking us a couple of steps back, let's talk about the application process. Which all universities, schools did you apply to? What was the application process like? And what did it take for you to get into one of the top schools in the world?
So thinking about it gives me a very weird sense of nostalgia. But I think the application process for a lot of top schools, and in fact, I can speak the best for UK, because when I decided to go abroad, I only zoned into UK because LSE was my aim. But UK as a geographical area really made me ease out on my application process, because then I didn't have to think a lot, right? I just had to target one country and their way of approaching applications. So for most of the master's programs there, you need a statement of purpose. That's your personal statement, your letter of recommendations, and then substantiated with work experience if you have any, and also your academic background, that is your record, your transcripts. So with my SOP, and especially in the UK, they don't really talk about extracurriculars much. There's something called a super curriculars, which is a very exciting term. I never knew it. It sounds fancy as well. But it's all about how you, what you learn in your classroom, how do you use that outside the classroom. That's what matters there. So you can do it through internships, right? You don't really have to work. You just have to use that somewhere. Because I wanted to pursue global politics, it's about if I have maybe written papers or, come up with ideas and then told them to people, whether it's through conferences or, teamwork, let's say in an NGO or something of that sort. So that has, I think, really helped my application. I did work with a couple of government agencies before, and then I also work with a think tank. And then I also work with a civil society organization. It was a sexual wellness startup. Very, very, out of the box, not something that people think of. And then I linked it with what I want to learn in global politics. So my aim was to understand globalization and how things pan out with regards to, gender or identity and stuff like that. So it really helped me, tailor my application, these kind of experiences. And of course, your recommendation letters are important. It's always good to be in touch with your professors. Show that you're interested, right? Instead of making it a last minute plan, like you just going there and showing your face and like, I want an LOR. That's not how it works. Right? Because they're humans at the end of the day. It's always good to, be in touch with your professors. And that helped me a lot as well. In fact, they've been my most profound mentors. Some of them have ignited that spark in me to pursue social sciences. So I've been I'm very grateful to them. Your academic records are all about your hard work. It's about writing your exam at the end of the day, internals and all of that. So in that way, this is what the application process is about. I applied to 3 colleges, King's, London School of Economics, and University College of London. I really wanted to only be in London too. Because, but when I got into all of them, all 3 of them. And of course, I chose LSE at the end.
That's a very nice story. Was there any professor either at St. Joseph's or at LSE that you would single out as having a very high impact on your career or your desire for studying policy or pursuing humanities?
I would actually single out, when you ask this question, right, someone who I consider as my, maybe it's too much to say, but my guru, to be honest, is actually in my high school.
Oh.
Yeah, she is the one who told me about this autobiography, and she's the Ambedkar one. And she's the one who was like all about, why change, right? Why do you need to do this? She's been an amazing person. Her name is Miss Shruti Anand. I would love to give her a, hats off right here. But yeah, I think she's the one who really inspired me. Wow. But in my undergrad as well, all my professors, I think, all of them have been equally, especially towards my second and third years, because that's when you really understand why you want to do things. Your first year is more of, let's attend college fest and chill. But yeah, and then my time at LSE, of course, there was this one professor, her name is Sara Ashwin. She is a CSR, she was the head of department there for management. And that's the thing, right? I had taken courses from a lot of other departments as well. So my main department was government, but I've done courses from management, I've done courses from gender, I've done courses from international public policy and all of that. So it's been quite cross-functional that way. But yeah, I would really like to give a shout out to her as well there. Besides my other professors, they've all been great. I really cannot name one person because I would name all of them. But they've all been incredible, I feel.
So, Anya, How would you say your degree at LSE has helped your career so far? And what kind of impact do you see it having in the future?
So, the degree that I have, I think, has clearly opened doors for me. But then it's been up to me to walk through them using my skills or the work that I put in whatever I want to do. And I think in that way, networking has helped me. It really has. The reason being that it's all about talking to the right people, right? And LSE has offered me conferences to attend, events, discussions. In fact, Abhishek Banerjee, who has won a Nobel Prize in economics, he had come quite often to LSE, and I had attended his lectures also. A lot of inspiring people. The people around me were working with big international organizations, the UN. They've been diplomats in government departments. They've worked in big corporates. And also people have been struggling to get seed funding for their social entrepreneurship. I've met people from all walks of life there. So in that way, the kind of experience, exposure you get in the way people think as well, I think that's been phenomenal. And those are the things I carry forward with me when I talk about LSE and how it has helped me. And the impact it has created is such that it gives me a basic grounding on how I approach problems, whether it's my work or in life in general. So that's been the biggest fruit.
Especially in India, when you get into a good college, that seems to be seen to be the goal itself. That you get into IIT, you get into an IIM, you get into a national law college, and that's it. You get into a LSR here, and that's it. But it's often not the case, especially when you go abroad. Even in India, it's not the case. The efforts matter. You would advise the students, our audience, on the application process. What advice would you give them when it concerns, as it concerns how to best utilize their time once they reach their dream destination abroad?
So I think that a degree, like you said, right, whether it's an IIT, IIM, or whatever it is, in fact, any degree for a matter of fact, but then of course from the big schools, because it really does add in value to this thing. I think it just gets you noticed, but it's up to you to get recognized, right? Notice in the sense that you're just going there and you're seeing, people be like, okay, you studied there, but then how well do you substantiate that, right? So the advice that I have for people going there is that you're not going there to just study abroad. I think that's very, what do you say?
Limited.
Yeah, limited term. It's not for studying abroad. You have to experience what being abroad means. So you're not supposed to just be around people who you're comfortable with. Going abroad is about getting out of that comfort zone. I mean, I think one of the most amazing experiences I've had are my flatmates in LSE, right? I don't know if it's my flat or if LSE purposely did that, but then I had people from all over the world around me. I had people from Russia, China, Taiwan, US, Netherlands. So and I was from India, of course. And we always had potluck dinners every week or the other. And we used to have crazy conversations at 2 a.m. over a bowl of ramen or maybe a bowl of, stew, because I come from Kerala. So stew and bread, I used to give that to them. I used to cook. So I think those are the ones that I remember more than what I actually studied at LSE, because those things really had an impact on me and how I viewed the world, because I understood what struggles they were facing personally, not just on what we hear in the news and all of that. So I think that's what you have to go there for. Push yourself out. And any university that you go to, it's not just about lectures and seminars, it's about a lot of other resources they offer. So they have career services as well. They have, even some of them have behavioral units, which are very interesting. LSE had a behavioral lab where you talk about mental wellness, and you can engage in activities that pair you with a buddy, and then you talk to them and you make them feel easy to move abroad. So these are things that really touch upon that empathy side of things, right? So it's not just about hard skills, but then again, hard skills too. You have a lot of courses beside your main course that you can pursue. And it's not just LSE, it's there in a lot of universities abroad. So these are things I think you have to tap into, and that would really create an impact and make it all worth it.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, right? So to paraphrase, it's not just academics. You're going there for academics as well as networking, experiencing the whole life, all the opportunities that are available, grab them and make the best use.
100%.
Right. So final question from my side. There's AI is the talk of the town, and there's one new big announcement every week, every day it seems. And there are some younger students who get a bit afraid about, okay, so LLMs can just, ChatGPT and DeepSeek can just print out answers to all the questions. So what's the point of studying, right? Will we have jobs in the future? So the question to you is, are we at the risk of being replaced by AI? What's your opinion on this?
I don't even closely think we are at a risk of being replaced, especially humanities students. The reason being that, of course, AI can analyze data, but if I have to get a little poetic, maybe because I love poems, and we have a literature student here. But I think it can analyze data, but can it really understand the war cry of revolution, right? Can it negotiate peace? Not yet, right? Even people who are in the core arts background, like literature, maybe it can summarize sonnets, right? But can it really understand the pain behind you wanting to, long for a passion or a dream that you have, right? It can't yet. Humans come there. We are too human to actually be replaced by AI, I feel, and we are too human to isolate ourselves as well. So we will work along with AI. But at the same time, it's important for us to understand that AI does process things, AI predicts things, right? But it cannot doubt or defy. And that is where humans come in, right? As humanities students, we have the power to empathize. We have the power to understand nuances that it still can't. And AI has a lot of gaps even now. Even with ChatGPT, if I have to take an example, language decoding is a huge problem there, because you have things like gender and age and ethnicity that play a huge role, which it still hasn't caught up. We come in there, right? There are other larger problems. For example, on sustainability, on ethics, on rights. All of these are things that AI can help us with, but AI still doesn't understand. So humanities students come there to make it understand that. So I think, no, we cannot be replaced at all. We are the most valuable resource out there. And it's up to us to really understand that and to also convince others, especially in society, that we're not a backup plan.
It resonates with me a lot, right? So AI, the version that we have today, are tools to be used. And we really are in control and the masters.
Yes.
So it makes complete sense to agree with that. Well, thanks a lot for your time, Anya. It's been wonderful. And it's going to be a super duper help to all the viewers and students who are wanting to study abroad, especially in humanities and other fields as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Well, that's it for this video. If you found this useful, do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay tuned, stay curious.